What's good, everybody? Welcome into the Coach and Bro Show. As you can see, we are outside of the friendly confines on the road this week, calling a little bit of golf, the biggest event on the PGA Tour, I might add, players. And I can't tell you how much it means to me, but I would never, if I can avoid it, miss a show with one of my best friends. We have so many topics to talk about here at BTT Studios. Let's bring in my man from russosbrand.com, Mr. Vince Russo, who's been all over the place. Everybody taking shots. But Vince, that's exactly the way that we like. We talk about Ric Flair on Monday. Now everybody's talking about Ric Flair with us. How are you today, sir?
I am doing great, Coach. I know you're doing really well, man. A lot going on in the world of golf. I'm gearing up, Coach. I got 5 drafts on Saturday, man. I'm all geared up, ready to go, man. Very excited. Baseball season next week, Coach.
I can't believe it. And I was talking to the executives at Stadium, and they said, when is Vince going to show up on Coaching Company? And I said, hey, very, very soon. Very, very soon.
Yes.
To be our baseball guy. I'm fired up. The fact, though, I would be, we always needle each other a little bit. The fact that you do 5 fantasy baseball drafts would drive me insane. How do you do it?
Coach, I did 6 last year, and I swore I was cutting down. So what happened was I cut down to 3. And then they started bombarding me. Vince, what do you mean no more leagues? What do you mean, Vince? What do you mean? So at the last minute, I had to add 2 more, so I'm back up to 5, Coach.
You're back in the game. Well, the beautiful part about fantasy baseball is the attention to detail. Because you can't overlook anything.
No.
Just like in the world of wrestling, Vince. And that's where we're going to start with topic number 1. And we talked a little bit about it on Monday. And then Cody Rhodes came out and said, no, Travis Scott didn't touch on me. He didn't hit me. He didn't break my eardrum. He didn't cost this big old black eye that I have right here. Well, guess what, Vince? One Seth Rollins, no longer Seth freaking Rollins, I might add. He was on I believe it's the Helix Wireless podcast. And I want to play for you when they ask him if it was him that Travis Scott would have hit with one of the worst punches of all time. Would there have been a receipt? Producer man, roll tape.
Dude, what would happen if Travis Scott did what he did to Cody Rhodes to you? He's got the black eye. I guess it's supposed to be.
That was ridiculous.
You take him out, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, look, I have mercy on Travis Scott. That is not a man that needs to be in a wrestling ring with these giant humans. No offense to him, but I mean, he's just he's a cruiserweight brother. You know what I mean? He can wrestle Rey Mysterio maybe, but like he doesn't know what he's doing in there. He just whacked him in the side of the head, gave him a big old bruise, so like busted him open. Just awful. But like, if Cody gets his hands on him, I mean, it's done and dusted. And Cody's not like Braun Strowman. He's not Andre the Giant. Like, he's not a massive guy, but he dwarfs Travis Scott. So I mean, if he can get through like Travis's team of people, it's game over for him.
What, you think he actually wants to? I know
Cody?
he doesn't. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Cody's a very nice guy. I won't speak on his behalf, but he's got an undercurrent of frustration in there, especially when he gets taken advantage of in a situation like that. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Very interesting.
Dude, what would happen if Travis Scott did?
All right, so there you have it. At least Seth is being honest. I love Cody, but Cody is clearly lying about what happened to protect Travis Scott. Would you give Travis Scott a receipt, Vince?
Man, Coach, can you really give a receipt to somebody who doesn't know what they're doing? You know what I mean? I mean, come on, I can't listen. I don't know Travis Scott. Quite frankly, I don't want to know Travis Scott, but I can't believe that Travis Scott wanted to really F Cody Rhodes up. Coach, you know how it is, man. There's enough. You get the adrenaline pumping when you do it on a weekly basis. When you're a celebrity like that, bro, and it's just like one time, you got so much adrenaline pumping. So, I don't think the dude maliciously did it. I don't think he meant to do it. But I got to tell you, Coach, you got to be careful about talking about receipts, because if somebody does give Travis Scott a receipt and Travis Scott digs up that little piece of video, he'll have a hell of a case on his hands if he wants to go after somebody and sue him. You know what I mean?
About Travis Scott's history, Vince, but he had a really bad situation at a concert a few years ago.
Yeah.
So he did not want the thousands of people to sue him then, so I doubt he would do it here. But it's a very good point. But I appreciate the fact that Seth Rollins would say that, because Cody Rhodes, as he said, way too nice to say it. But as I went back and I heard that video and I went back and watched, it was so clear, Vince, that Travis Scott had no clue what he was doing. The fact that he held down Cody's head as if Cody would have moved. Cody was going nowhere. He knew what was coming. And the other part was the video that they shot backstage where he was hyping it up, saying, man, I'm going to build a ring in my backyard. And The Rock was like, man, wasn't that awesome? You feel those goosebumps. The fact that because I've seen other guys that have made mistakes, and when they know they make mistakes, they come backstage and are like, and they wait for the person to come back and say, man, my bad. I'm sorry. There was no energy like that from Travis Scott. So I don't even know if in the moment he even knew that he did anything wrong.
I don't think he did. You know, Coach, it's so different because a lot of times when outsiders are in that spot, they're athletes. And athletes respect other athletes. Like a Karl Malone is not going to do that. A Dennis Rodman, a Shaq. That's just not going to happen because other athletes, respect other athletes. I just think, man, and again, bro, I hate rap. I'm not a rap fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I just think, bro, the adrenaline was running with all those people, the dudes in there with The Rock. And like you said, I mean, did he even know he did the damage that he did, So I just kind of think, man, in that case, you got to give the guy a pass. You got to smarten him up. Maybe even Cody needs to smarten him up. But I don't think it was malicious at all, Coach.
And from everything I know, and I love the fact that Seth gave us a little look in we never see the entourage when they're shooting anything with him, but they're there.
Yeah.
And a lot of times he's a super popular rapper. And so you would imagine they love to pay people to roll with him. He probably goes 8-9 deep and probably has. I've been around a lot of rappers, especially back when I was in the WWE. They hire the biggest bodyguards. And Vince, this is a funny story. I don't know if you remember this. You probably don't. You probably didn't order it. I doubt that you did. But there's one in the history of time, Girls Gone Wild pay-per-view. One. Do you know who hosted the one Girls Gone Wild pay-per-view?
Don't tell me you did, bro.
Oh, not only did I, but the reason we got this is a true story. I kid you not. So Eric Bischoff, when he came, I can't even say this with a straight face. So Eric Bischoff had, when he came to the WWE after the WCW days, he had a lot of different things going on. And he was working with a lot of different people. So he called Kevin Dunn and said that Joe Francis, who's the former owner, wanted to do a pay-per-view. And at that time, Snoop Dogg was the face of Girls Gone Wild. So remember, like at 3 a.m, you'd be up and turn on ABC and you see Snoop Dogg somewhere on a beach.
Yes.
That was at that time. So he says, we want to do it. So they hired the WWE production. So Kevin Dunn actually produced this pay-per-view.
God, wow.
It was $24.99 was the cost. And they had several judges. Stacy Keibler was one. Test, God rest his soul, was another. They were dating at the time. I almost saw a murder because Joe Francis started hitting on Stacy Keibler right in front of Test, who was dating Stacy at the time. That almost didn't end well. And then Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg rolls in and had two of the biggest security dudes you've ever seen in your life. They could not have been ruder, meaner, nastier to everybody. So the night goes along. They had 8,000 people show up for a venue that held 3. So you imagine what that was like. So I get back to the hotel, and Vince, I kid you not, they were charging people $25 to get onto the elevator if you weren't staying there to avoid parties. It was spring break. in South Padre Island, Texas. The 2 security guards are sitting in the lobby. I see them as I'm walking into the hotel, so I turn my head because I was like, man, they were nasty about 3 hours ago. And all of a sudden, one goes, hey, coach, come over here. Like we were best friends. So I turn my head and I walk over, and I'm ready for it. And they're like, hey, dog, what's going on? How was the show? I'm like, whoa. I said, guys, no offense, but this isn't the same energy I got 3 hours ago. And I remember this like it was yesterday, Vince. One of them said to me, Coach, do you know how much Snoop Dogg pays us to be that way on whatever content that they are doing? He says the minute he goes to bed, we're dads. We both have 2 kids. We're both married. It was so eye-opening to me. I remember like it was yesterday that these are some of the meanest dudes ever. And these rappers, they pay them to be that way.
Yeah. Coach, can I tell you my 2 biggest entourage bodyguard moments?
Please.
One was my biggest mark out moment of my life. Okay.
Kiss?
First, no. Much bigger. First of all, one of the most impressive entourages I ever saw was when Tyson came in during the WrestleMania angle. Oh, really? My God, bro.
Really?
He had so many people in tow, it wasn't even funny. They just kept coming and coming and coming and coming. But, Coach, my biggest mark out moment, and, Coach, a lot of people, I know I'm a lot older than a lot of people watching this show, Coach, even older than you, but I think you will appreciate this.
Talk to me.
Coach, I'm in my I'm probably my late 20s, early 30s, and I'm in Vegas, and I'm at like Caesar's Palace or one of the big hotels in the lobby, right? Bro, I swear to you, all of a sudden, 10 black bodyguards, like literally 6'6" plus. I'm talking, bro, black suits, the earpieces, the whole 9 yards. My first thought was it was a president of the United States. That was my first thought. But bro, there's these huge giants, and like I'm not seeing any, but like who are these guys with? Because there's a commotion. So, Coach, now I gotta go get a closer look. Bro, in the middle of this swarm of giants, 5 foot nothing. You ready, Coach?
I'm ready.
Sammy Davis Jr., bro.
No!
Coach, you talk about a mark out moment, Coach. Oh, Coach.
Wow.
I will never forget that. Sammy Davis in Vegas with these freaking giants. Absolute giants, bro. Dwarfing them, bro. Because I swear to God, see, bro, literally, he had to be about 5'5", 5'6".
I learned this from Kenny Chesney, that most big-time musicians are tiny because in high school they couldn't play sports. So they had to go do something else.
There you go.
Sammy, he owned Vegas back in the day.
Oh, God, bro. What a mark out moment for me. I'll never forget as long as I live. Tremendous.
I would have been like, what's it like hanging out with who's the famous
Frank
New Yorker?
and Dean.
Oh my God.
Dean. Yes.
Oh, they were it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the lives they lived?
Oh, my God.
Debauchery.
Oh, my God, no.
The debauchery night in and night out. Oh, man.
The Rat Pack.
The Rat Pack. I mean, you see the pictures, and if anybody's watching right now, you don't know what we're talking about, go Google the Rat Pack.
Yes.
The only thing I can come close to that is Darius Rucker, Hootie and the Blowfish. He's a huge wrestling fan.
Yeah.
He once spent over $20,000 on a Ric Flair robe at an auction. Wow. And when we became friends, he became friends with the Golics at ESPN, and then the rest of us. He would set up a room, Vince, backstage that just had tons of alcohol in it. And if you had a pass, you could just go get a drink all during the show. And then we would party with him till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. I can only imagine what the Rat Pack did back in the day.
Forget it.
Until the sun came up. God, I love these stories. That's why you watch the Coach and Bro Show. Nobody has these stories. He is Vince Russo. I am the coach. We are here every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also catch us on demand anytime here on our BTT YouTube page. All right, topic number 2. And Vince, this is one that I've kind of weirdly been involved with from the outside, kind of looking in, and now you're starting to see people online talk about this, and it's an interesting topic because yesterday, so on Wednesday, ESPN Plus revealed the trailer for Stephanie McMahon's new show called Stephanie's Places. It kind of plays off of Peyton's Places. It's not for ESPN, but Peyton Manning's Omaha Productions is doing it, and they released the list of talent that she's doing episodes with: CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Pat McAfee, among others. So it spurred the conversation online, and I can't wait to get your take on this, that with everything that's happened with Vince McMahon and getting pushed out and no longer a part of the company, that now, and I don't know who decided to do this or whose idea it was, but now Stephanie is back. They're putting her on WWE television. She has her own show. She's posting stuff with Triple H all over the place, hugging and kissing, but yet we never see anything from Shane McMahon. And I know for a fact, because I've been a part of it, he wants to get back into the game. Why do you think that Stephanie has got her show and Shane has received nothing?
You know, Coach, it's funny because, listen, man, start your own wrestling company. Start your own wrestling company. What is he waiting for? He's obviously got the cash. He's obviously got the connection. People in the business love Shane. People would want to work for Shane. You'd have people leaving both companies to go work for Shane. My God, his father has a Rolodex of everybody you could ever imagine in every possible position in the wrestling business. Bro, start your own wrestling company. Shane McMahon could get a television deal like this, bro, on his name alone. Now, Coach, don't get me wrong. I know that would take a lot of work, but Shane is still relatively a young man. Bro, do it. Don't wait around for, Tony Khan or what Stephanie is doing, or bro, make it happen. Shane's got the money, bro. Shane's got the personality. You and I know, Coach, nobody works harder than that dude, except maybe his father. Nobody works harder than Shane McMahon. Bro, go for it. Do it. Make it happen.
So let's talk about that for a second, because I knew you wanted to go there, and I want to go there too, because I feel like part of the Super Bowl, I call that a media scrum or photo op, whatever you want to call it. You don't go to the Super Bowl with your dad if you don't want people to know. Okay, that's first and foremost. Let's say he doesn't have enough money to start the whole company, which would probably take $500 million to $1 billion to do it right, like what Tony Khan did. What if he's talking to his dad about doing just that, and his dad knows if he's the face that would be limiting, and you make Shane the face, and then you use dad's money because he cashed in billions with his stock from TKO. And they're actually planning that right now. That could not only shock the world, that could turn the pro wrestling universe on its head. But do you think that all of the stuff with Janelle Grant and Vince needs to be settled before any of this can happen?
See, that's the hard part. Yes, I do, Coach. And unfortunately, Vince is running out of time. But Coach, there's also another way to look at it. And I think you will understand this as a father. Okay. If I am Vince McMahon, and listen, man, I heard some horror stories of Vince McMahon, the father, of how tough he was on Shane McMahon. And Stephanie was always daddy's little girl. Man, if I am Vince and I am now at the age I am in my life, and I can do something to make it up to my son, this is it. This is it. If I can take all this now and say, here, I'm here to help you any way that I can. And now if I'm Vince, I can, go in peace knowing I made it up to my son. Bro, I think it would be a great story. But I think the problem is that time is against Vince McMahon.
Has it in him to be that guy.
Yeah.
Because it would be an incredible story. And I don't believe that everybody's a bad person. And you and I both have told on this show the many times we wish that Vince would have treated us differently. And that is in the past. As a father and as a guy who's already started a company and wants to be an angel investor, we know this is what he wants to do. Why would you not start with your number one person, your son? Because we know, at least from the reports, that Stephanie doesn't have anything to do with him right now. And the fact that she came back to the company, that would kind of put, at least if I was Vince, thinking how he thinks, the final nail in the coffin of, well, my daughter turned on me. She's back with Triple H. Now, who's the one guy or one family member that's not there? Well, that's my son, Shane McMahon. And to me, when you get to be 80 years old, and I'm kind of there at my age, I'm very middle-aged now. I think a lot differently. There's a lot of things I wish I could go back and do differently, but I can't. But I'd love to change how I do things moving forward. If I was 80 and I had gone through that and I was worth $5 billion, Vince, there's nothing that I wouldn't give my son in order to make that happen, to give him a chance for the last 30 years of his life and career to do something productive, to have something to do, to have purpose, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, Coach? I hope those are the discussions. I really do. Because I love Shane. I
do too.
I honestly and truly love that kid, and he's not a kid anymore. And my God, man, I honestly hope those discussions are taking place.
I've thought a million different times, and we've got literally 1,000 stories that we've seen with our own two eyes. And I remember sitting with him when I was at ESPN in 2016 or 17, and we took the Sports Center on the road to WrestleMania, and he came back to have I think it was the match against The Undertaker. And his sons came out on the stage with him on the entrance. And I remember sitting down with him, and I said, why now? Why are you going to come back? And I knew the spot that he was going to do. I knew he was going to jump off the top of the cell. And I said, why now? And he started tearing up. And he was almost crying on camera. And he said, my kids. He's like, my kids.
Yeah.
And he said, they were too young when I was doing all this crazy stuff. They've never known what Dad was truly about. And I want them to see what I can do. Because no matter how old we get, Vince, we still, just like our kids want our approval, I want my son's approval. I want my daughter's approval. Yeah. I'm sure you're the same way.
Yep.
And so for 8 years ago, for him to think that, what has gone through his mind and his body after everything, watching his dad just get pushed out of the business, not that he created, but he created what it is today. I mean, I wonder how, if Vince sat down, and I'd love to do the interview with him. I really, really would, to see how he feels today about all of that.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, Coach, like when it comes to Shane's kids, no question, he took a lot out of the type of father Vince was. And when you have that type of a father that is a workaholic and family is second, you tend to make sure I'm not making that same mistake. My family's got the 3 boys are going to be everything to me, and I believe they are to Shane.
It's the entire reason why I left the WWE when I did. Is my wife at the time was pregnant with my daughter, who's now will be 17 in June. It's crazy. She was born in 2008. I left WWE in 2008 because I said there is no way on God's green earth that I'm traveling 52 weeks a year and going to miss out on all of that. I just wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess the other part of this too, because I've watched CM Punk last week, and you and I nowhere near burned bridges like he did. In fact, I don't think we burned bridges at all, to be honest. Not in the wrestling business. And I got to thinking as you were talking, what if Shane, not Vince, but what if Shane called me and you and said, I'm starting this company. I need a great writer. I need a good talent. And I'd love for you to guys come work for me. We're now partners. A lot of people see us as one. What would your reaction be to that phone call?
Coach, I can tell you this. I would 1,000% have the conversation. That's a totally different scenario because Shane was never of the wrestling business. He was never one of them. He wasn't. I always talk about the wrestling bubble. Shane was not that guy. Shane was always Shane. He was a good-hearted human being. So I definitely would at least have that discussion.
I think a lot of the things he did within the company, whether it was work with Tommy C in the international department, whatever it was, I think he did it because we all had 2 jobs or 3 jobs. I was a talent and I produced home videos and did the interviews. At WWE, it's different. And I think for Shane, just being a talent, he was never going to do house shows. And so in Vince's mind, having your son just go to 1 TV a week and not have a day job, that would never happen. We know Steph works 7 days a week in the office as well as traveling to all the TVs. So that part, for people who don't quite understand, he did those jobs, I think, because he felt like he needed to. Not that he necessarily wanted to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And he was great at everything he did. Let's make no bones about it. He was great with everything he did. Coach, I got a scoop for you, man. I don't know if I should share it here because a lot of people, bro, because you're going to ask me about Raw and I'm going to go off on Raw and then I'm going to get, Vince is a hater, Vince is a bitter. So I don't know if I want to share this inside information concerning The Rock. I don't know. I don't know. You might have to pry it out of me, Coach. You might have to pry it out of me.
Vince, please. I'll say please 4 times. If you got a scoop and it involves The Rock, I definitely want to hear. I will handle the haters for you. Okay. I will handle the haters. And you got to give it to me.
It makes all the sense in the world. That's why I know it's true. First of all, the person it came from, he's never wrong.
Okay.
He knows people in the company that aren't the boys. So he knows people in the office. See, the boys will work you for their benefit.
100%.
People in the office are not going to work you because they got no way to benefit. So they're going to tell you the real skinny. Now, Coach, remember when Rock, right after Elimination Chamber, went out there on the post show and explained, Final Boss is a character. Final Boss can be this. Final Boss can be that. Totally broke kayfabe. Remember that?
Yes, 100%.
Bro, prior to that, Rock had a conversation with his buddy, who runs it over, Nick Khan and
Ari Emanuel.
Ari Emanuel.
Yeah.
Had a conversation with them and said, guys, I will be the Final Boss. I will be a heel. I will be a bad guy, but you got to understand, I got a 5-picture deal with Disney. So I need to make it clear to the audience that the Final Boss is a character. I am not a bad guy. That's not who I really am. I am not going to let this deal mess up my Disney contract. So I have to make people understand you're seeing a performance. He made that clear with him, and that explains the Rock promo, which to me makes all the sense in the world. 1,000% I believe that story.
All right, I'm hearing this for the first time right now. So give me a second.
Yeah.
Because this also makes a lot of sense to a lot of the reaction we saw online from the young lady at AEW. They were like, well, Rock just did this. They already broke kayfabe. What are you talking about when it comes to predetermined? As I'm thinking about this, and And I understand both sides of it. I just always think if Vince was still in charge, would he have ever allowed for the storyline if that was going to be the case? I get it from Rock's point of view. Right. Moana is a big-time moneymaker, and when you've got a 9-year-old kid who's also watching wrestling, and let's not act like 9 and 10-year-old kids don't watch wrestling. Let's stop with that, okay? And they're seeing a guy do this, and then they're saying, hey, Mom, I don't want to go see Moana now. It doesn't take, and I said this years ago, Vince. I remember having a conversation because when Rock left to do movies, he left cold turkey. Because back then, his agent said, you can't be connected to wrestling. People see it as a negative, right? So remember his early movies didn't make a lot of money?
Yeah.
And I thought some of them were pretty good. I enjoyed a lot of them. The one where he was the quarterback with the daughter he didn't know about. Yeah. And then he signed that 4-picture deal for $40 million. It was $10 million per. And I remember when he left the fan base, because that's when I was there. It was 2002. I remember running into tons of fans who were like, I'm not going to go watch his movies. We made him. Now we're not going to go support him. And at that time, let's say there's 8 to 10 million fans. Let's say 5 million of them go to see that movie. You're starting with $40 million before the regular people go. But Rock listened to his agents. And he also had that tattoo covered up because they said the fans wouldn't like that either. So going back 23, 24 years, The Rock has been having to navigate how do you make my movie career the most profitable. But that's when he was starting. Now, at the time that we're at, other than Moana, the reason he signed the deal with Disney, Vince, is because a lot of the movies that made a lot of money for him were franchises. Mm-hmm. They were Fast and the Furious. But individual movies that he made, like the Red one, it made some money, but they held it for a year. They didn't put it out when it was supposed to be. It cost $250 million. It did not make its money back. So a lot of times the movie studios don't want to put up that kind of money for somebody if it doesn't make the money back. Yeah. So I think that's where he's at right now. So that story makes a lot of sense.
And Coach,
that
remember,
all of these movies.
Remember, he referenced Moana in the in-ring.
That's right. I forgot. Yep.
And that's when, I said, that's when, right away I said, man, bro, you're in a tough spot because you're trying to sell a Disney movie. And at the same time, Coach, like you said, you're doing this. You're taking Cody's blood and smearing it on the belt. Bro, that's a tough spot. And then I heard that story today where that was the conversation he had, that he's got to make it clear to the WWF fan base, the final boss is a character, like all the other characters he plays in the movies.
You know what's fascinating, Vince, as you bring this up, now I'm starting to think of all the layers that this heel turn really takes and how far it goes. It's not just hey, let's turn John Cena heel, because John Cena also has a movie career that he has to think about that people need to support. So back in the day, Vince McMahon never had guys doing multiple things. You were a full-time wrestler and that was it. The times have changed. So can you imagine 20-some years ago having to sit down and go, we want to make this move within the show, but it's going to affect this outside of the show? How do you think Vince McMahon would have handled that conversation?
A lot of people don't understand this, Coach. Coach, I was in the room. Vince thought he was going to lose Austin at Austin's height. Austin wanted to go do Nash Bridges full time. Remember, Austin was just a reoccurring role.
That's right.
They wanted him full time, and Austin wanted to do it. And Vince really thought he was going to lose the cash cow. Who knows what kind of a deal he made with Austin, but Vince made sure that never happened. And I got to tell you, man, because that never happened, bro, that may have hindered Austin's entire movie career, because that's when he was red hot. If he would have been on that show every single week, obviously the next thing would have been a movie and a movie after that. Austin's done some movies, but not to the extent of Cena, Batista, or The Rock.
No.
So
I think he's made the best one, though. Do you remember the one where all the guys got dropped on the island?
Expendables.
No, not the Expendables. He did a different one. He did where a bunch of convicts were dropped on an island, and they had to kill each other and whoever the last one was that was left.
Gilligan's Island?
It wasn't Gilligan's
No, okay, I get confused in my old days.
But it was a great movie. I really, really enjoyed. Like, I'm not a critic, so I go and I just enjoy stuff. What's so fun? It's God. I love this conversation. I really, really do, because I can understand, and there's a lot of fans out there who are hardcore wrestling fans that are like, why would you want to go do that? Understand that for Austin and Rock, they were there 52 weeks a year. On top of that, I remember Rock at his height was home 2 days a month. It became a grind. And yeah, it was great when they came out and the glass broke and all that. But to have a break of 4 to 6 months, and I do believe, Vince, if they would have started a different schedule back in the day, that a lot of guys never would have complained about the schedule. They could have gone and done other stuff, come back, and you could have subbed guys in and out.
Right.
But that wasn't how we lived back then. It was everybody had to be there. And so for Austin, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
because it's fun. That would have been fun for him.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Wow. He's also a great host, by the way. I think he's one of the most underrated hosts on TV.
Yeah. He's tremendous. He's absolutely tremendous, man.
He's also one of the superstars that Stephanie is going to be featured on Stephanie's Places. So we're going to get to see him. And he just recently, and I don't know if it's going to happen, but he was on some podcast, and he was asked about helping out Cody since Rock's putting together a crew. And he's like, hey, I live an hour from Vegas.
Yeah.
But every time his name comes up, like last year, he was supposed to be in the Undertaker spot. But apparently, and I believe this because I've been through this with him, if he doesn't get offered the amount of money that he feels like he deserves, he will not show up. He is a rare kind of breed.
He really is.
He
really is.
Isn't he? Like $1 less, I'm not coming.
And you gotta respect that, man. You have 100%. To respect that. Yep.
100%. Boy. Yeah. Condemned is what the movie was called. The Condemned.
Okay, I got to check that out, Coach. I don't know about that movie. Condemned. I'll check that out.
Yeah, it was really, really good. All right, so we're going to put a pin in this conversation, but I think we're going to probably revisit it in the near future because the whole landscape has changed now with this information and The Rock and weighing out your movie stuff. And I also wonder, Vince, I said put a pin in it, I keep going, how Netflix and how Disney on the other side, how much pressure they're putting on. Is this a Rock thing, or do you think that he went to them and said, hey, if you're going to do this, and he's got the Martin Scorsese movie coming up with Leonardo DiCaprio, that's got to be a moneymaker. You can't have fans not going because they don't like you. Right? It's got to make money.
I mean, Coach, we keep saying this. They keep adding to the list of masters, and the more masters they add, the more muddy the waters are going to become, Coach. I mean, I'm just telling you, I'm not being negative. I'm just looking at it from a business point of view. And Coach, what you do for a living, I'm looking at it from an odds point of view. The more masters you're serving, you are increasing your odds of something really bad happening. You just are, Coach.
You just are. And here, at the end of the day, here's the bottom line. Because I saw it 23 years ago, and you'd love to believe that wrestling fans are smart enough and can disconnect the two and say, yep, Rock's playing a character. Vince, you and I both know. The hardcore wrestling fan believes that it is real 24/7. So the Rock that they're watching, they don't give a damn if he says in the ring, Moana and all this, and I'm a character in that post. They're not watching the post-fight press conference. They see what the Rock did. They see the 500 million views. They see the Cena's face. That's who they see right now.
Right.
And I think it is kind of playing with fire a little bit once you bring that up.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. Absolutely.
We got a couple more topics, then we're going to get the hell out of here. A really positive one, because I feel like whenever we bring up AEW, it's negative, and they've had a lot of negative press after their pay-per-view the other night. But there is some good things going on over there. And you do a show called Black and White with your boy, and I think we don't talk about diversity enough, and certainly diversity in wrestling. But Swerve was talking about him and Ricochet and the match that they had at AEW. And I hadn't really talked about or thought about this, but here's Swerve after that. Producer man, if you don't mind.
Honestly, I don't know if it was said on commentary, but this is the first time 2 black men went for the #1 contendership for the AEW World Championship as well. And I'll have no problem saying that over and over again, saying it louder, because I'm proud of that as well. For honestly, I don't know if it was said on commentary, but this is the first time 2 black men.
All right, so I feel a little bit conflicted. I'm so glad that it's happened, because for people who don't understand, getting to be a first and knocking down a door is awesome. The fact that we're in 2025, Vince, and it's never happened yet, to me is a little bit sad, but I love the fact that he pointed it out.
Yeah, no, I do too, Coach. And I just got to say this too, Coach. And, I think you would agree with me 1,000%. Vince McMahon was a lot of things. Vince McMahon could have cared less what religion you were, what color you were, what creed you were, what sex you were. If Vince McMahon thought that you could make him money, he was going with you. Period. End of story. Coach, I got to be honest with you. Unfortunately, I know my time at the WWE, bro, there were just a lot more white performers than there were black performers. I mean, it was a numbers game. There were just more white wrestlers than black wrestlers. But I could tell you without a shadow of a doubt, Vince McMahon could have cared less about the color of your skin, your nationality. Man, if he thought you could make money for him, he was going with you, bro.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I will always say about Vince, because you and I have had a lot of private conversations too, and I'm still, to this day, to this moment, still very, very conflicted on my feelings with Vince McMahon. However, I never felt, because I was a lot closer to him than a lot of other people, I mean physically, around him a lot, and you never got that. You never got and also, and so the flip side of that is that he would never think about, well, let's put a black guy against a black guy to make history either. No. It was just about whoever was the most popular in the storylines, and that's who he's going to go with.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And I can respect that. Do I believe in diversity? 100%. Do I believe in a lot of little black kids out there that have watched me or Shelton or whoever? Yes, I absolutely do. But sometimes it is a numbers game. But I like that he did it out. And
I like too that really meant something to Swerve Stick. And bro, make no bones about it. You look at this guy; he's oozing star. I mean, this guy looks like a freaking. You were just talking about movie star. He looks like a freaking movie star. So I think that's awesome that it really means that much to him, and I'm sure Ricochet as well. That's a good thing all around, bro. Absolutely positive all around.
It really, really is. So congratulations to Ricochet and to Swerve on that honor last week. All right, we're going to wrap up the show today with looking forward. And Vince, this is something that I never did. And I did everything during my time in the WWE. We never had 3 straight weeks of TV overseas. And the WWE is advertising Cody Rhodes and John Cena under the same roof for the first time since the Elimination Chamber. So that'll be, count them up, carry the one, 16 days since we had the greatest heel turner, one of, ever. Does it take a little bit away, not only that we haven't heard from John Cena other than a few cryptic IG posts, but now, Vince, I know the live crowd will be hot, but if you're in the United States, it's live at 3 o'clock Eastern time, and there's just certain things that in my mind are prime time, and Raw and SmackDown are 2 of those things. Where I live, noon Eastern time live, and then you can, of course, can watch on demand.
Coach, I got another scoop, but I don't know if I can.
Vince, you gave me the first one.
I can't get it.
You can't end the show this way.
It's too much. It's too much.
Is it better than the last scoop?
All right, Coach, I'll tell you. See, Coach, I don't go with rumors, and because first of all, bro, you got to understand with these dirt sheets. These dirt sheets get fed by the boys, The boys have an agenda. They either want to bury somebody or want to put somebody over, and at the end, it's what it's going to do for them. So I tend to look at stories that make a lot of sense.
Sure.
This story makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
They're in Brussels on Monday. Coach, I don't know if you know anything about Brussels. I knew absolutely nothing about Brussels. I had to be schooled. This is a non-English speaking audience in Brussels. Yes. So the concern is they don't want Cena cutting his first promo in front of a non-English speaking audience. So word on the street is, now this may happen. Bro, this may not happen because I'm telling it right now and they may not want Vince Russo to be right. Word on the street. And again, coach, this makes all the sense in the world. It's a non-speaking audience. So they're afraid they're not going to get the reaction they really want. Now, piggyback that with coach being on at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Piggyback that with that. So what the plan was that I heard was Cena's gonna get the mic before he could say anything.
No.
Yes. Before he could say anything.
No.
Here comes R-Truth. He's gonna get heat on Truth. End of segment. So we may be pushing hearing from Cena another week, because I believe the following week they're in an English-speaking country. So we may be pushing that promo, coach, another week. We'll have to see what happens.
Well, it makes all the sense in the world. I've been to all those countries, and when you're in, I've done shows in Germany in front of German-speaking fans, and it's literally you're saying something that should hit, and they're just like, what? What did you say?
Yeah.
And that's why most of the time we always did house shows. And we didn't do TV shows for that exact reason.
Right.
So if that's the case, boy, they and they're gonna get shredded. I mean, this was you talk about on a silver platter, and so all of the stories have been no Rock, no Cena, but yet Cena Cody at WrestleMania. And normally, Vince, I can't ever remember, even last year when The Rock was a part of it, there was still that momentum because Roman was around and all that. But how do they not lose momentum if they wait a whole nother week and they're advertising under the same roof for the first time ever?
Coach, they're playing a new card now, and this is the trend I'm starting to see. Coach, I got to point something out to you. I know we're running out of time. I got to point this out to you. When I rip apart Raw, I base it on one thing.
Okay.
First of all, bro, I literally said this past week we were I'll give a benefit of the doubt. We were an hour into the show on Monday, and I tweeted out, bro, Roman Reigns coming out at the end of this show ain't gonna save this show.
I saw that. I saw that.
Okay, so Coach, this is what I base it on. Take the Roman thing out. This is what I base it on. If I did not watch Monday Night Raw, would I have missed anything? The answer is no. I would have missed absolutely nothing. So when I'm watching a television show that's spinning its own wheels and not going anywhere, I'm going to have an issue with that because I feel like you're wasting my time.
Understood.
Nothing's happening here. Cody cut the same promo on Monday that he cut on Friday. The same exact promo. Nothing's happening here. So I just want to be clear about that. But, Coach, Triple H is starting to play a new card now, if you notice.
Which one?
Now it's happened 2 weeks in a row. Nothing happens the entire show. So we sit there for 2 hours, 15 minutes, 2 hours, 20 minutes. Nothing happens. Then we get the swerve at the end of the show. And I guarantee you they did that with Io Sky and Rhea Ripley the week before. And I guarantee you the mentality this week, Coach, was Roman's going to come out at the end of the show. Whatever we do the first 2 hours and 15 minutes isn't going to matter. Here's what they don't understand. It is going to matter, because if nothing happens the first 2 hours and 15 minutes, people are going to bed, bro. They're going to bed. They don't know Roman's coming out at the end. So if they are bored out of their minds after 2 hours, they're going to bed. But that's kind of what they're doing now, bro. Deliver a lackluster show. Let's have that big finish, and they'll forget everything they saw the first 2 hours.
That's a classic wrestling thing. It's a classic. It's a classic. The surprise that will never go away.
Never.
I think that's why I get and we always differ with the fans, but I will never subscribe, and maybe because I was there for too damn long, but I'm never going to subscribe to let's just pull the curtain back and tell everybody what happens behind the scenes. Because to me, I like wondering. I like going, who is in there? What's it going to be? I agree with you. And the other part of this too is if you're going to be at Madison Square Garden, which is the home. And I know they thought that the steel cage match was, 7 days of promotion. This is the world's, not the United States, the world's most famous arena. Mm-hmm. Over 20,000 that Michael Cole and Pat McAfee told us 8 times were in that building. And you still don't have The Rock or John Cena or something that is in addition to that steel cage match just because it's special, just because you only go to the Garden once a year. And lately it's been for a house show, not even a TV show, because it's so damn expensive to run it. And to me, that's what I keep coming back to is they're trying to do all these crazy things to make up for the fact that their biggest storyline in years now doesn't involve 2 of the guys that made the storyline the biggest storyline in years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think they thought that Roman being there would make everybody forget about that. I really, really do.
Yeah, like I said, bro, I believe that's the new card in the deck. Let's shock them at the end, and they'll forget everything else that happened during the show.
Yeah, you might be right, because the other thing, I've never seen it, and I would love to get your perspective as the greatest wrestling writer to ever live. When you're a world champion, and Io Sky is now a world champion, and I've never seen, and she's tiny, and we talk about reality, her and Alexa Bliss, and it came out today. By the way, I think they're going to use your storyline. I read today they're going to be part of the Wyatt Six. I wonder where that. I heard that, Vince. But Io Sky's tiny. There's not a world that we live in that she's beating Rhea Ripley one-on-one. And when Bianca comes out and Rhea Ripley comes out to pie face a champion, not once, but twice, what was your reaction to that?
My reaction was, because it can't be anything else, Coach. Who did she piss off? What did she do? What didn't she like creatively? No question about it. No question about it. To punk Rhea Ripley out like that with no comeback with a girl half her size, she's in the doghouse. Either she's in the doghouse, Coach, or whoever came up with that segment needs to be fired immediately. One of those 2 things, I'm going to chalk it all up to she's in the doghouse, she pissed somebody off.
Io is, or Rhea is, or both,
Rhea.
Well, Io is not. I mean, and this is the other part we talked about on the last word that Gabby brought up, which is a very good point. When you're a non-English speaking champion, and now with Netflix being worldwide, there's reasons they do different things. The Asian market's a big market, but she doesn't speak English very well. So to get the audience in the United States to connect with her is going to be damn near impossible. And so when you come out and you have Rhea Ripley pie face, Bianca pie face, and then Rhea literally serves up her chin on a platter and waits to get slapped. Again, based in reality, I learned from you. And then Bianca stands there, waits to get slapped. To me, they did not rehearse that very well. And what person double your size would wait for you to slap them?
Yeah, no. Again, guys, we don't know. We don't know what we're talking about. Okay, let me just put it in the simplest form to you. You're in a bar. You got guy number. You got guy A is 6'2", 240 pounds. Okay, guy B is 5'6", $150. Guy B walks up to guy A, slaps him across the face in the bar. Guy A, bro, 6'2", 240 pounds, does absolutely nothing. What world does that happen in?
It doesn't.
World? Only the world of freaking wrestling. Then you want to call me negative. And as a writer, here's the biggest insult, coach. Here's the biggest insult. You kill Rhea Ripley, man.
Killing it.
You kill both of them because Bianca Belair is a freaking beast. So you kill two important talents on your roster so a 5'0" female can slap both of them across the face. That's not how you protect your talent, coach.
And that's the one thing. And we're trying to describe to you as sitting at home that love to use the hater card, how the business works. And a million times I had in my ear over the years, you're killing his character. You're killing her character.
Yep.
That's not where we go. That's not the story that we're trying to tell. If we're writing a story for Io Sky, she won because Bianca was out there. That was the story. But Io Sky, the problem is she can't cut the promo to explain that. Saying, I don't care how I won. I won, and I'm the champion. I'm going to WrestleMania. You're not. That would have been a great promo. She's not capable of doing that. Yeah. So I think they try to use the physicality to then set up what we know is going to be a triple threat match. It couldn't be any more obvious.
And think about this. We know it's going to be a triple threat match. So think about this. Bro, we see how they stretch for time. You know, Gunther's wrestling Otis one week, and then the next week he's wrestling his partner. We see this. Stretch. Coach, it's as simple as this. And this is where, like, Triple H, like, bro, I know you're trying to do a lot, but, bro, you need to get your head out of your cooler. Because, Coach, it's this simple. Have those two girls get up. You know, Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley are at odds with each other. Have both of them get up, start knocking the snot out of Io Sky. Bro, Io Sky's got a tag team partner. Here comes Dakota Kai flying out of the back. We go off hot in a brawl. Guess what? Now you've got a match next week where Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair are tag team partners. Hello, Triple H. Hello. I mean, Coach, I say this all the time. This stuff writes itself. But my God, you got to pay attention to what you're doing, man.
I would also add, what if we added this stipulation? And if I'm stupid, tell me I'm stupid. The way you think is next level. It's why you're the greatest of all time. But you put them in a tag match next week, and then in comes to add a little intrigue. If they win, then somehow Rhea Ripley gets added to, and now can they get along? Bianca doesn't want them to win because, I mean, there's a lot of things that you could do between those two with Io Sky just kind of out here just manipulating the situation.
Right, and look at the other side of it. The other side what did we do? We hurt two of our top talent for no reason whatsoever. That's what you did when you could have really turned this into ratings.
Could have. I was dumbfounded. And then in another story in WWE, we talk about Rock talking about Disney, and obviously it's you know, they're trying to get back into that R stuff, and they use social media. This happened in the last day or two. Naomi into the SmackDown segment calling Bianca a bitch. Okay, that was the last thing that she said. And then Jade went on social media, said something, and Naomi called her the B word. And then Jade then went on another post and called her a bitch. And I'm like, to have these women going at each other on social media, calling each other names like this, is that really what we want people to watch and see? To me, I can get a little more creative than calling somebody the B word.
Yeah. Well, Coach, you won't have to worry about that because I guarantee you next week they'll all be on Instagram twerking together, Coach. So we can forget all about that. They'll all be on there twerking, Coach, and then it'll all go away and we'll all forget about it, Coach. But no, I'm with you, bro. That's, in the business, I mean, that's what you call cheap heat. That is like the absolute lowest common denominator. It's not creative. It's, bro, I hated when Cody said, Rock, go F yourself. But all the criticism I get, I would have never written that in a million freaking years. Bro, Cody's the poster child with posing with the kids and the Make-A-Wish and this and that. And he's dropping F-bombs and like, that's okay. And I'm like, oh, bro, whatever world you guys live in, man, I'm just visiting, bro.
I will say this. Part of the reason we're so passionate about this is at our core, we love this business. And we want the shows to be great. Yeah, we do this for a living. Yes, we love to do it. But I want these shows to be great. And a lot of these guys I worked with, and I want them to be great. Because at the end of the day, it's a very small business. And Vince, you said it earlier in this show. You only have a small amount of time to do what we do. I mean, life goes by so quickly. Yep. And I know for you and it's just – and I just want to enjoy it, and I know these guys do. I know these girls do, and I know they're trying. But man, it just seems like it need a little bit more.
No, I mean, Coach, because just to sum it up, we know what it can be. We know what it can be. Yes. That's what it is. We know what it can be. That's it. Period.
And they have the talent to do it.
Yep.
They have the talent to do it.
Yes.
And I just hope the other part that probably would have fixed this, Vince, is not having WrestleMania the last weekend in April. I mean, you got 2 months. I never had 2 months in between that last pay-per-view and WrestleMania. You'd only had to fill 3 or 4 months. Now, it just seems like, man, what do we do this week? We got to get through 4 or 5 more weeks to get to Mania.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, it's. I would rather have 2 months after Mania as opposed to 2 months before Mania.
Yeah, I'm with you, Coach.
But,
I'm with you.
All right. Another great show, buddy. Love doing this with you so much. All right, we are here every single Monday and Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Then you can watch it on demand as well on the BTT YouTube page. Do not forget, we have 2 other shows, Coach and Company, every single weekday morning live on Stadium. You can also watch it right here on YouTube as well at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Then, of course, The Last Word, Monday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, also on the Stadium Network with me, Big Tommy C, and our current rock star, Gabby. That's going to do it for now. For intern Dan, producer man, my boy Vince Russo, I am the coach. We'll see you next time, Monday, right here on the Coach and Bro Show.